The chains that whisper the sun was weak on planet Virel 9. The sky was always gray, and the wind smelled like iron. This place was known for one thing, its slave market. People from many planets came here to buy workers, fighters, and sometimes strange creatures. Sergeant Kai Turner walked through the market slowly. He was human, a war veteran. His black armor was scratched and dusty. He was not here to buy anyone. He was just waiting for his ship to refuel. But something pulled him toward the slave stalls. Alien voices filled the air. Chains rattled. Merchants shouted prices. Some slaves cried. Some looked empty and broken. Kai's eyes scanned the cages. Without care, until he saw her. She sat in a dark corner of a steel cage. A tall, silver-skinned woman. Her eyes were bright gold. Her body was thin, almost weak. But her chains, they were strange. They didn't look like metal. They looked alive. And then she spoke, but not with her mouth. "Buy my chains. And break them," the voice echoed inside Kai's mind. "Please. I'll give you strong children." Kai stopped. His heart jumped. He looked around. No one else reacted. The crowd kept moving. No one noticed the voice. He stared at the woman. Her lips did not move, but her golden eyes locked onto his. "Did you hear that?" he asked a nearby vendor. "Hear what?" the vendor laughed. "You hear the screams? Get used to it, soldier." Virel 9 always screams, but it wasn't a scream. It was a whisper, soft, deep, and clear. Kai walked closer to the cage. The woman stood now, slowly, as if every move was pain. The chains on her wrists and ankles shimmered like liquid metal. They made no sound. Her arms were covered in faded tribal markings, strange symbols. Some looked human. Kai whispered, "What are you?" The alien woman tilted her head. And again, he heard her not in his ears, but in his mind. "I am a gift and a curse. You can choose, but not for long." Suddenly, a strong hand grabbed Kai's shoulder. "Don't talk to her," said a thick voice. It was the merchant. "That one?" he said, laughing nervously. "She's been here for years. No one buys her. Bad luck. Says weird things." Got inside one man's head. He went mad. Kai frowned. "Where is he now?" "Dead," the merchant said simply. "Cut his own throat. Said she showed him the end of the world." Kai looked back at her. She hadn't moved. She stared at him as if waiting. As if she knew him. "I don't want any trouble," Kai said, backing away. "You won't get any," the merchant said. "Unless you take her home." Kai walked away quickly. But something was wrong. Her voice stayed in his head. "Break the chains. And I'll make you a father of warriors." That night, Kai stayed in a rented room at the station near the market. But he could not sleep. He closed his eyes and saw her face. He tried to clear his mind. But the voice returned. "You were born with the key. Your blood sings to my chains." Kai sat up, sweating. He was trained to ignore fear, trained to resist. Alien tech, psychic tricks, mind control, but this didn't feel like control. It felt like a cry for help. At 3 a.m., he left the room and walked back toward the market. It was silent now, cold, empty. But her cage was gone. No chains, no trace, just a symbol on the ground. Drawn in ash. It was a mix of human military code and alien script. One word stood out, chosen. Kai bent down and touched the ash. His vision went black, then a flash of light. He saw the woman again, but not in chains. She stood tall, proud, wearing armor made of stars. Behind her, thousands of children, part alien, part human, with glowing eyes. Then, fire, screams, a battle across galaxies. Kai fell back, gasping. The vision ended. His hand was still on the symbol. He knew now she was not offering love or freedom. She was offering a war. And he had already stepped into it. The sky of Virel 9 turned darker the next morning, though no one noticed. It always looked like night here, but something had changed. Sergeant Kai Turner walked slowly through the empty market. His eyes searched every cage, every corner, every shadow. The silver-skinned woman was gone, only the strange symbol in ash remained, half blown by the wind. He stared at it again. His fingers switched, remembering the vision, the golden-eyed children, the warrior queen, the galaxies on fire. Was it a dream? Or a warning? Behind him, a voice whispered, "Looking for the cursed one?" Kai turned sharply. An old merchant stood near a pile of broken chains. His skin was dry like leather, eyes hidden under goggles. "She speaks to minds," the old man said, "not to ears. That's why only a few hear her." "You heard her, didn't you?" Kai didn't answer. The man smiled without teeth. "That means she chose you." "I don't want to be chosen," Kai said coldly. "I just want answers." The merchant dropped a small object at Kai's feet, one of the woman's chain links. It pulsed faintly, as if alive. "She wasn't born to be owned," the old man said. "She was placed here, hidden, waiting." "For what?" "For someone like you." Later that night, Kai left the city limits. He found himself walking into the desert. He didn't know why. His legs moved before his mind could stop them. It was like something pulled him forward. A whisper in his blood, and then he saw it, a small cave, glowing from inside with a soft blue light. She was there, not in chains, not in fear. She stood tall, facing him. "Kai Turner," she said, this time with real words. Her voice was soft, but it echoed inside the cave like thunder. "You know my name," he said slowly. "I know more than that." Her golden eyes studied him like a scientist studies a weapon. "Your ancestors fought in the Orion Rebellion," she said. "Your DNA carries memory of war. That's why I chose you." Kai stepped back. "What do you want from me?" She walked closer. "I want your help to end a prison older than your species." She touched the stone wall. It shifted, revealing glowing patterns, star maps, battle scenes, faces of creatures long extinct. "I am not a slave," she said. "I am a seed, planted here, locked in time, waiting to grow." Kai looked confused. A seed of what? She turned toward him. Her chains were gone, but faint glowing scars circled her wrists. "Of the future," she began to explain. "Long ago, her people were not just warriors, they were makers. They built life from DNA. They shaped future soldiers not with weapons, but with memory. But they were betrayed by those they helped, powerful empires that feared their strength. So they were hunted, enslaved, scattered across the stars. Before her capture, she hid the last code of her kind inside herself. That code needed one thing to awaken: a compatible mind. A human mind. You were not the first I called," she said. "But you were the first who listened." Kai felt his skin crawl. "You said something about children," she nodded. "Not born from flesh, born from battle, from memory, from training, from you and me." He stepped back again. "I'm not building an army. You already have," she said. "In your dreams, in your fear, in your past." A sudden sound echoed outside the cave. "Engines." Kai pulled his blaster. "They found US," she whispered. "Who?" "The ones who fear what I carry." A shadow moved across the entrance. A mechanical voice shouted, "Stand down. This area is under control of the Terran security unit." Kai aimed his weapon, heart racing. The woman stepped beside him, calm. "You can run," she said softly, "or you can remember." "Remember what?" She placed her hand on his head, and suddenly he wasn't in the cave. He was in a burning sky. Ships exploded. Creatures roared. A child screamed his name in a voice that hadn't been born yet. He saw his own face, older, leading a group of hybrid warriors. Then darkness. He was back. The blaster trembled in his hand. What was that? "A future you must choose," she said. Outside, the soldiers began to close in. Inside, the truth had already been planted. The desert was silent again, but something had changed. Kai Turner stood outside the glowing cave, his hands still shaking. Behind him, the silver-skinned woman watched the stars. Her name he still didn't know, but she knew him. Too well. In the distance, the sound of engines faded. The soldiers were gone, for now. But inside Kai, something stayed. A spark. Aha! Code, a vision he couldn't forget. He had seen himself. Older, stronger, leading an army that didn't exist yet. Children not born from love or war, but from memory. In chains. He looked at her. Why did I see that? That future? Why me? She stepped forward. Because your chains are already broken, he frowned. What does that mean? She held out her arm. The strange chain scars around her wrist began to glow. Kai's hand moved by itself, as if his blood was answering hers when his fingers touched. Her skin, the light around her wrist flowed like water from her body to his chains formed on his arms. Not metal, not real, but still heavy. Like memory, he fell to his knees. Suddenly, he wasn't on Virel 9 anymore. He stood in a white hallway, thousands of doors lined the walls. Each door had a symbol, a word, a scream. These were not rooms. They were lives. A voice spoke from above. Your chains are not your prison. They are your path. He opened one door. Inside, a memory, not his, played like a movie. A young alien boy running through fire, holding a crystal, crying, dying. The scene burned into Kai's mind. He opened another door, this time, himself, as a child, hiding during a space raid. His father shouting his name, a moment he had forgotten, but now remembered. Door after door. Life after life, alien, human, pain, war, choices. The chains on his arms grew longer with each memory. He should have felt weaker, but instead, he felt more than a man, more than a soldier, a carrier. A code, a living weapon. He woke up gasping. The silver woman knelt beside him, her hand on his chest. You're changing, she said softly. The past is now inside you. What was that place? Our memory vault, she whispered. Only someone born with the right mind can unlock it. And what happens now? She stood. You become the key. They walked back toward the city. The night was thick, the air cold. Kai asked her quietly, What's your name? She paused. I had many, she said. But they were taken. Like everything else. Then I'll give you a new one, Kai said. She looked at him. Why? Because no one should be nameless. He thought for a moment. Then said, Lyra. Her eyes blinked. A soft smile formed. Lyra, she whispered. Yes, that fits. When they reached the outer walls of the city, alarms began to flash. A giant hologram appeared above the towers. A man in a black suit stared into the sky. This is Commander Rex of the Terran Genetic Control Division. 2 fugitives have escaped custody. They carry forbidden DNA. They are dangerous. Do not help them. Lyra looked at Kai. They're afraid, she said. Of what? He asked. Of what happens when you unlock all your chains. Suddenly, she grabbed his hand. You need to see more. No, he said. Last time almost broke me. You have to see what I can't. Before he could pull away, the world vanished again. Now, they were in a lab. Cold, white, empty. A small tube floated in the tank. Inside, a child, half-formed, golden eyes closed. A voice whispered, These are your children, Kai. Not of body, but of will. Then, gunshots, alarms, fire. Scientists screamed. Soldiers burst in. The child's eyes opened, and the walls exploded. Kai fell back into reality, heart racing. He looked at Lyra. Are those real? They will be, she said. If we survive long enough. Kai looked at his arms. The invisible. Chains shimmered. He wasn't just connected to her. He was becoming part of her mission. And now, there was no turning back. The city was no longer safe. Not for her. Not for him. Not anymore. Kai and Lyra moved through the shadows of Varel 9's lower sectors, broken tunnels, abandoned factories, places where machines had died long ago. Lyra walked in silence. She knew these places. She had once lived in chains here, but now she had a purpose. And so did he. Kai's body felt different. Stronger. Sharper. He heard sounds before they came. Smelled danger in the wind. And deep inside, something waited, like a door slowly opening. The chains on his arms, still invisible to the world, now pulsed with light whenever danger was near. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was becoming something else. They found shelter in an old weapons bay under the city. There, Lyra did something strange. She drew a circle on the ground with chalk, placed 3 small stones, and sat with her eyes closed. Kai watched. What is this? Some alien ritual? No, she said softly. A memory gate. He raised an eyebrow. For who? For you. Before he could speak, the room flickered. Not the lights, reality. The walls vanished. The floor turned to smoke. He was standing in a field, green, bright, alive. It wasn't a battlefield. It was a school, but not for children, for war seeds. He saw them, dozens of humans and alien hybrids, training, fighting, moving like they were one. Each one had golden eyes. Like Lyra, each one had chains glowing faintly on their skin. And in the center stood a man tall, with a scar across his face. It was him, older, wiser, leading them. Lyra's voice echoed through the air. This is what you are meant to build. Kai stepped forward. The memory twisted. The field turned red. Explosions shook the sky. The children were being hunted. By human ships. Terran. Flags burned. The scene faded. He dropped to his knees, back in the weapons bay, sweating. What was that? He gasped. Lyra opened her eyes. The truth. I saw myself, training them, protecting them, but they were children. She looked at him gently. Not children like yours. Children born from your strength, from your choices. He shook his head. You're talking about building an army. No, she whispered. I'm talking about building a future. Suddenly, boom. The door burst open. A squad of black-armored soldiers rushed in, guns raised. Get down, one shouted. Step away from the asset. Kai grabbed his blaster, but it melted in his hand, literally melted. He stared in shock. His hand glowed. One soldier fired. Kai raised his palm. The energy bolt froze in midair, then dropped like a stone. Everyone stopped. Even Lyra looked surprised. You unlocked a defense chain, she said softly. Kai didn't understand, but his body did. He moved fast, too fast for human eyes. He disarmed one soldier, dodged 2 more, and knocked them down with a single strike. He wasn't just fighting. He was predicting, like he had seen it before. The last soldier backed away. What are you? Kai stared at his hands. I don't know. Lyra stepped forward. You are the first of many. You are not alone. She turned to Kai. It's time to stop hiding. He nodded. They ran. Later, on the edge of the city, they reached a transport dock. Old ships, rusted, but one still worked. As they prepared to leave, Lyra said, Do you know why your chains melted the weapon? No, because weapons are not your tool anymore. You are the weapon. Kai looked at the stars ahead. What happens if we fail? She placed her hand over his heart. Then the future dies before it's ever born. He took a deep breath. The ship rose into the sky. Somewhere out there, more like him were waiting. More chains, more warriors. The stars moved slowly around the small transport ship. But inside, everything moved too fast. Kai Turner sat near the window, staring into the black sky. He had escaped Varel 9. He had fought trained soldiers. He had seen visions of children not yet born. And worst of all, he was starting to believe it. Across from him, Lyra slept with her eyes half open. Her golden gaze flickered like a fading signal. Even in sleep, she looked alert. And haunted. Kai stood up and walked to the ship's control panel. The screen showed a map, coordinates, unknown. Destination, off-grid. They were not going anywhere safe. Just away, but Kai couldn't run forever. Sooner or later, someone would find them. Or betray them. The silence broke when Lyra whispered, "They're already watching." Kai turned. "Who?" She pointed at the screen without opening her eyes. "Those coordinates, they're not random. Someone sent them." He looked closer and saw it. A hidden code in the corner. Military, terra, and his own code. "What is this?" he asked. "A memory key," she said. "Planted in you long ago. Before we ever met." Kai froze. "Are you saying someone planned this?" "Yes," she said. "But it wasn't me." They landed on a cold, rocky moon. A small building stood. Alone, old Terran tech, half buried in ice. Kai scanned the area. No signs of life, but the door opened by itself. Inside, the air smelled like metal and blood. Walls covered in data screens. In the center, a chair, empty. And on the wall, project. Echo. Status incomplete. Lyra stopped. Her face went pale. "This place. Double quote," she whispered. "It was one of ours." "One of whose?" She walked slowly, touching the walls. "This is where your kind learned about mine. Where they started mixing our DNA." Kai's chest tightened. "They were experimenting?" "Yes," she said, "with memories. With chains, with control." Then a voice echoed through the room. "Welcome back, Subject 9. Kai turned. No one there, but the chair lit up. A hologram appeared. An older man in a lab coat. Cold eyes, no warmth. "If you're seeing this, Subject 9, your chains have activated. You have merged. Good." Kai felt his knees weaken. "I know that voice." Lyra looked at him. "Who is it?" "My father." The hologram continued. "You were never meant to be free, Kai. You were made to connect. To unlock her kind, to lead them, or destroy them." Kai's head spun. No, he was a soldier. He died in the war. Lyra shook her head. He started the war. Suddenly, Kai remembered something. A childhood memory, a metal room, pain in his arms, a whisper in his ear. "You're not just a boy, Kai. You're the future." He staggered back. "I was part of this all along." Lyra reached for his hand. But he pulled away. "Did you know?" he asked. "No," she said softly. "But I felt it. Something inside you was placed. A long time ago." Kai looked at the screen again. The final line of the message flashed in red. "You are the weapon. But even weapons must choose a master." Suddenly, an explosion rocked the base. Alarms screamed. Shadows moved in the hall. Not soldiers. Something worse. Silent. Fast. Shifting like liquid. Lyra's eyes widened. "They found us." "Who?" she whispered. "The Shapers. They were built to erase proof. We are the proof." Kai raised his hand, and his chains shimmered again. But this time, something changed. The chains didn't just glow. They cracked. Split open. And voices came out. A dozen different voices. Old, young, human, all saying one word. Run. They fought their way out, but the creatures didn't bleed. They melted and reformed, like shadows with blades. Kai struck one with his bare hand, and his chain exploded outward like a whip, slicing through the attacker. He looked at his arm. It was burning, but not from pain, from power. Lyra grabbed him. "Your chains are changing. They're not just memory anymore." "They're alive," Kai gasped. "Then what am I?" She looked at him with fear and hope. "You're the one they couldn't control." Outside, the ship waited. They escaped as the moonbase exploded behind them, in the silence of space. Kai finally spoke. My father made me a weapon, but he forgot something, Lyra turned. What? He looked ahead, eyes full of fire. Weapons can choose who they protect. The stars outside the ship were silent. But inside Kai Turner's mind, war had already started. He stood alone in the small chamber, surrounded by glowing walls. The chains on his arms pulsed like veins filled with light. He didn't sleep anymore. He didn't feel hunger. Only the weight of something building inside him. Power. And a question. Was he still human? Or something new? Lyra watched from the doorway. He's close, she whispered to herself. Too close. Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with awe. She had seen power before, but not like this. Kai wasn't just carrying memories anymore. He was breaking them open, rewriting them. Each chain on his body was once a lock. Now, they were keys. In the vision space, a place between dream and memory, Kai stood before a massive door made of light. He had been here before, as a child, as a soldier, as a test subject, but now he stood not as a weapon, but as a breaker. Voices filled the air. You were made to obey. You were built to fight. You will never be free. Kai raised his hand. The chains on his wrist uncoiled like serpents, striking the door. With a thunderous crack, it shattered. And behind it, darkness. Then light. And then truth. He saw the core. Memory. Not his. Humanity. Single quotes s. Billions of years ago, before Earth even had breath, a war was fought across time. Lyra's ancestors, the Minders, were never slaves. They were guardians, keepers of a knowledge too, powerful to control. They hid themselves, locked their memories in chains, left their future inside other species, inside humans. Waiting for one to unlock it. Kai stumbled out of the chamber, gasping. Lyra rushed to him. What? Did you see? He looked at her. No one made me, he said. They left me. Lyra's eyes widened. Then you're not the weapon. No, Kai said slowly. I'm the fuse. Suddenly, the ship shook. Red lights, alarms. Outside, a fleet arrived. Not Terran, not alien, something new, something hybrid. Lyra checked the scanner. Her face went pale. They activated the children. What children? The test subjects who survived the first chain projects. You were the strongest, but not the only one. Kai stared at the screen. The ships were not attacking. They were waiting for him. Voice came through the ship's speakers. Familiar. His own voice, but colder. Kai Turner, we are your future. We carry your chains, but we do not follow you. Lyra whispered. They're broken. No, Kai said. They're incomplete. He stepped forward, placed his hand on the control pad. Open channel, he said. He took a deep breath and spoke. You carry my power, but you forgot the lesson inside the chains. He paused. Power is not given, it's remembered, earned. The fleet didn't answer. So he said the final code, the one hidden in his DNA, a single word that had no translation. Yurakai, a word from Lyra's people. It meant, we break ourselves to build the world. The chains on Kai's arms exploded in a ring of light across space. The fleet's ships trembled, and inside them, the other chain-bearers dropped their weapons. They didn't die. They woke up. The chains reformed on their bodies, not as weapons, but as purpose. Lyra stared in shock. You healed them. Kai nodded slowly. I didn't break the chains. I became them. Silence filled the ship. Then, one by one, the fleet ships powered down. Surrendered. Not out of fear, out of understanding. Kai walked to the viewing deck. Below them, a planet waited. Untouched, quiet, ready, the perfect place to begin again. Lyra joined him. Is this the end? She asked. He shook his head. No. He looked at his hands. No more weapons, no more wars. He turned to her. This is where the children of memory become soldiers of peace. The planet below had no name. It had no cities, no machines, no war. Only wind, soil, and silence. Kai Turner stood at the edge of a high cliff. Behind him, hundreds of figures stood quiet, still, waiting. They were not human, not fully. They were not alien either. They were the children, born from memories, from unlocked chains, from his blood, Lyra's code, and something older than both. Golden eyes stared at him with no fear. They didn't speak. But they knew. This was not the end. This was the beginning. Lyra stood beside him, her silver skin shining in the new sunlight. She hadn't spoken in hours. Kai knew why. They had won the battle. But peace had a price. The Terran command had sent a message. One simple warning. Surrender the hybrids, or we erase the planet. Kai looked at the sky. Somewhere out there, Earth was afraid. Afraid of the children. Afraid of him. And maybe they were right to be, because he had changed. He no longer remembered who he was before Lyra whispered into his mind, "Buy my chains and break them." The children were ready. Not for war. For a question. What now? One of them stepped forward. She looked about 10, but her eyes were ancient. "Kai," she said softly, "are we weapons?" He knelt down, touched her shoulder. "No," he said. "You're proof." "Of what?" "That even from chains something beautiful can grow." She smiled. "Will they come to kill us?" He nodded. "Maybe." "Will we fight?" Kai paused. Then looked up at the sky again and said, "No, we'll show them who we really are." Later that night, Lyra sat beside a fire. She placed her hand on Kai's. "I was wrong about you," she whispered. "How?" "I thought you were the last weapon, but you're the first builder." Kai didn't reply. He stared into the flames. "I don't know how to build peace," he said. "I only know how to fight." She leaned her head against his. "That's enough. The rest we'll learn together." At dawn, the Terran fleet arrived. Warships darkened the sky. Hover troopers landed on the hills. They didn't fire. They waited. Then one ship opened. A man stepped out. Tall, cold, dressed in black armor. General Avian Cross. Kai knew that name. He had trained under him, had once admired him. Cross looked at the children. Then at Kai. "You turned traitor," he said. Kai stayed silent. "You used classified genetic tech." Still silent. "You're creating an army." Now Kai spoke. "No," he said. "I'm creating a future." Cross raised his gun. "This is your last warning." Kai stepped forward, slowly. His chains, now glowing softly, wrapped around his body like armor made of light. "I won't fight you," Kai said, "but I won't run either." A tense silence. The children didn't move. Cross aimed his weapon. Then a voice spoke. It wasn't human. It came from every child at once. A single sentence, said with one voice, "We remember pain, but we choose peace." The chains on their bodies glowed. Not in anger. In unity. In calm. The sky cracked, not with bombs, but with energy. The chains released a wave across the battlefield. Memories poured into every soldier. Images of earth burning, of alien children locked in cages, of war after war after war. And then hope. Fields full of light. Hands reaching across species. New languages, new homes, new life. When the wave ended, the soldiers dropped their weapons. Some fell to their knees. Cross stood frozen. He looked at Kai with new eyes. "What are you?" he asked. Kai gave a small smile. "I'm a chain that broke and found something better on the other side." Cross turned slowly and walked back to his ship. No more orders. No more war. As the Terran fleet left the planet, the children stood in a circle, one by one. Their chains faded, not gone, just unlocked. Like K. Like Lyra. Like a future that was once impossible. That night, around the fire, Lyra placed a hand on her stomach. Kai looked at her. She smiled. This one, she whispered, will be born the old way. Kai blinked. Ours? She nodded. Will he carry chains too? He asked. No, she said, then paused, but maybe. He'll carry stories. And across the stars, those stories began to spread, not of war, not of weapons, but of a man who broke his chains and built a home from the pieces.